Hi viewers, morning. This side Rajesh, and with the help of this presentation, I would like to run through my audience a topic which is known as foreign collaboration in India and tax implication on same. Every idea does not become a technology. Idea which helps to evolve new products or which crystallize in new process, design, procedures have a market value. The value they command will vary with their practical utility and profitability. Reward for incentive ability assume the form of royalty and where the services rendered are personal and specific. Fees know-how which is patented acquires all the potential or all the boundary of the property and can be sold outright or licensed for stimulated period. But even know-how which is not patented for some reasons or other is still intellectual property security benefit for its owner despite the absence of the protection that is registered patent may confer on it. Transaction likely to be affected by the taxation of technology transfer. So there are a number of questions which might come to your mind, like to what extent and in what circumstances does the transfer of any technology attract tax? Will the manner in which transfers affect the transfer will any difference to the tax liability? If it is a cross-border transfer, how will fluctuation in the value of the different currency affect the income of the payer and recipient of the transfer consideration? What relief does the bipartite tax treaties between India and different countries extend to importers and exporters technology? What is the tax incentive designed to promote indigenous technology? What is the treatment of transfer of technology, indigenous and imported one? Will the actual user of technology be entitled to deduct the payments they make in full as revenue expenditure in the computation of their income from the business in which it is employed? If the expenditure is held to be a capital nature, how will it appreciated or amortized for arriving at the transferee's income? What is the incidence of cess levied under the R&D Cess Act 1986? Income from transfer of technology will be taxable in India to the extent that it accrues or arises or is deemed to accrue or arises or is received. Here, irrespective of whether the transferor is an individual or a company or a partnership concern, or whether the transferor is resident or non-resident in India or is non-resident. If the transfer of technology does take place outside India, it is only a person who is ordinary resident who will be liable to Indian taxation on the income from it. A non-resident will not be subject to taxation in India on the cost of design, drawing, etc., which he has handed over outside India as a proceed of the know-how transfer. He will be chargeable to tax only on the royalty which he may be entitled for the use of know-how in India or the fee he may receive in India. According to Section 916 of the Income Tax Act, royalty shall be income deemed to accrue or arise in India if it is paid by the government. Royalty will be chargeable to tax in India whether it is paid by resident or non-resident, whether it is related to any right, property or information used or services utilized for the purpose of business or profession carried on by any one of the India or for the purpose of making or earning an income from any other source within India. Royalty will not be taxable in India where it is payable by a resident in respect of right, property or information used or services utilized for the purposes of business or profession carried on by him outside India, or for the purpose of making or earning any income from any source outside India. Royalty, if any, paid by the non-resident in similar circumstances is outside purview of the Act. The second provision to Section 916 exempts lump sum payment of the royalty for the transfer of all or any rights, including the granting of a license in respect of computer software supplied by non-resident manufacturer along with a computer or computer-based equipment under any scheme approved under the government policy on computer software export. Software Development and Training 1986 explain to Section 916 gives a definition of royalty for these purposes. Likewise, all fee for the technical services payable by the government and also fee payable by resident or non-resident is respect to services utilized in a business or profession carried on by him in India or for the purposes of making or earning any income from any source in India will be liable to tax in India, while fee payable in respect of such services or profession or source income outside India, whether paid by resident or a non-resident, it will be outside of the mischief of the Act. For this purpose, fee for technical services have been defined to mean any consideration, including any lump sum consideration for the rendering of any managerial, technical or consultancy services, including the provision of the services of technical or other personnel, and does not include consideration for any construction, assembly, mining or like project undertaken by the recipient, or consideration which would be income of the recipient chargeable under the head salaries. Royalty may be taken to the income from the business in the case of company or even an individual running an industry in which technology is in use. There is a view that they may be treated as business income in case of partnership, since a firm is constituted only for the conducting a business, even if firm has no other business as such. Now I'm going to discuss about PPT number 7. As per under section 90, there are two methods of guaranteeing relief under double taxation avoidance agreement. First of all, I'm going to discuss about exemption method. A particular income is taxed in one of the both the countries and exempted in other country. For example, for the income from dividend, interest, royalty and fee for technical services source rule is applicable in treaty with Greece, Libya and UAE. So for a citizen of these countries, if the dividend, interest, royalty or fee for technical services is arising in India, then it will be solely taxable in India only if for a resident, if such income is arising in any of the three countries, then the income will solely be taxed in these three countries and it will not be at all taxable in India. I am going to discuss about tax credit method. The income is taxed in both the countries as per the treaty, and the country and resident will allow the tax credit reduction for the tax charge in the country of source. For example, Mr. A, who is a resident in India, has received salary from US company for a job in US. Since Mr. A is a resident, so his global income will be taxable. In this case, or in this precisely scenario, the country is US, since the service has been rendered in US, and resident country is India. So at the time of computation of tax liability of Mr. A, the tax paid in US will be allowed as set off against his total tax liability, but limited to the tax payable on such foreign income at Indian tax rates. In case where the bilateral agreement has been entered under section 90 with a foreign country, with the SSC has an option either to be taxed as per the double taxation avoidance agreement or as per normal provision of the Income Tax Act 1961, whichever is more favorable to the SSC. For example, as per DTA between India and Germany, tax on interest is specified at 10%, whereas under Income Tax Act 1960 it depends on the slab rate for individual and HUF and flat rate, which comes around 30%. For other kind of SSC like firm, company, hence one can allow DTA and pay tax on the rate of at the rate of 10% only. Where there is no DTA agreement, if any person who is resident in India in any previous year proves that in respect of his income which is accrued or arise during the previous year outside India and which is not deemed to accrue or arise in India, he has paid any country with which there is an agreement under section 90 for the relief or avoidance of double taxation, income tax by deduction or otherwise under the law in force in the country, he shall be entitled to deduction from the income tax payable by him for a sum calculated on such double taxed income at the Indian rate of taxation or the rate of tax of the said country, whichever is the lower, or at Indian rate of tax if both rates are equal. If any person who is resident in India in any previous year proves that in respect of his income which accrued or arose to him during the previous year in Afghanistan, he has paid in that country by deducting or otherwise tax payable to the government under any law for the time being in force in that country relating to taxation of agriculture income, he shall be entitled to deduction from the Indian income tax payable by him. Number first, for the amount of tax paid in Afghanistan under any law enforced on such income which is liability tax under the Act. Also, for a sum of calculated on the income at the Indian rate of tax whichever is less. Now we'll discuss about non-resident person. If any non-resident person is assessed on his share in the income for a registered firm assessed as resident in India in any previous year, and such share includes any income accruing or arising outside India during the previous year, which is not deemed to accrue or arise in India in a country with which there is no agreement under the section under 90 for the relief or avoidance of double taxation, and he proves that he has paid income tax by deduction or otherwise under the law in force in that country in respect of the income so included, he shall be entitled to a deduction for the Indian income tax payable by him for a sum calculated on such doubly taxed income so included at the Indian rate of tax or the rate of tax of the said country, whichever is lower, or Indian rate of tax if both the rates are equal. I'm going to discuss about presentation number 8, which basically defines residence, difference between resident, ordinary resident and ordinary resident. First of all, I'm going to discuss about resident. Individual who has spent 180 days in a year in India is resident of India. He may be treated as resident even on a stay of only 60 days in India in an year if he has spent 365 days altogether in this country during the 4 years preceding that year, An individual who is resident is liable to tax on all income that accrues or arises or is deemed to accrue or arises or is received to be deemed to be received by him in India. In this particular budget, some changes has been incorporated, and as per this, now a person is qualified as a resident if they stay in India more than 120 days and more than 365 days during the preceding 4 previous years. Now I'm going to discuss about ordinary resident, an individual who has spent 730 days or 2 years out of the 7 previous year in India, or he has been found to be a resident in 9 out of 10 previous year, he will be taken to be ordinary resident in India, in which case he will be liable to tax on his global income, no matter whether his income accrue or arises. Now the provisions has been changed in this budget 2020. Now with this new replacement of this section with a new provision or section, an individual will qualify as a NO or non-ordinary resident if he or she has been non-resident in India 7 out of 10 previous year. Deemed residence criteria for citizen of India. Now, Indian citizen who is liable to tax in any country by virtue of residency, domicile, or any other similar criteria would be deemed to be tax resident. That may be result in global income being liable to tax in India unless they qualify as a non-ordinary resident based on new condition proposed. Indians who otherwise qualified as non-resident in India as well as other jurisdictions will be impacted by the proposal. Now we'll discuss about different deductions that has been allowed. Deduction under section 35 is been allowed if a company paid to research association having object of undertaking scientific research or university college or other institute to be used for scientific research. Paid to research association having object to undertaking scientific research or university college or other institute to be used for social science or statistical research, paid in national laboratory or university or in Indian Institute of Technology, other person and company engaged in the business of biotechnology. Deduction allowed is 100%. Deduction under 80 RRB, deduction in respect to royalty. Deduction under section RRB of royalty received against a patent as specified. The income received from royalty is eligible for deduction under 80 RRB. Following are some crucial points to be noticed regarding this deduction. Only one can claim a deduction of up to 3 lakh against royalty payment. This amount is maximum amount that can be claimed as a deduction. If the actual royalty received are less than 3 lakh, then only that much amount would be eligible for deduction. In case individual has another source of income, then only the amount received as a royalty can be claimed as a deduction. Only original patent holders can claim the deduction under section 80 RRB. If the royalty payment are received from a foreign country, when the deduction can be claimed only with respect to the royalty payments received within the 6 months of the completion of the financial year in which income is earned. It is important to produce documentary evidence of the royalty payments, otherwise claim could be rejected. This deduction is only available for resident individuals, that is HUF, or non-resident cannot claim this deduction. The amount of royalty is usually settled between two parties as per mutual agreement. In certain cases, the government might grant a compulsory license to use the patent. In public interest, in such a scenario, the controller of patent of the government will settle the amount of royalty payable. In this case, deduction claimed cannot be more than settled amount. If you are also an innovator and hold a patent from the government for your innovation, then you can claim a deduction under 80 RRB and save your taxation liability. Though I have tried to cover up as much I can, but still this area require more in-depth research. With this conclusion remarks, I thank you everyone for listening.